Hello, good morning, good afternoon. I am Gerardo Pelayo, the Chief Research Officer at Service Council. Welcome to another edition of our In-Service podcast. And today I'm happy to welcome Indresh. He's the Vice President of Product and Technology Labs at Aquant. We'll get to know him in just a second, as he's going to help us navigate through a topic that is very exciting, I believe, which is the role and the potential that voice AI can have in the whole service ecosystem. I hear more and more conversations about multimodal AI and going beyond those initial intuitive use cases that we tend to gravitate towards, and also as we move from the theory and the potential to the learning curve that many organizations, many of the solution partners have gone through as there's more and more activity in the translating those pilots into scalable implementations that are not just doing the right thing, but that they're paying off, that the effort is justifying the investment, and that the technical deployment is being met with a sound strategic approach. That one of the things that I'm excited that we're going to touch on is the whole change management, and how do we map the possibilities that we have with the needs of the people that can leverage this technology. So it's going to be a packed half hour. We're going to go through different examples and lessons learned, as I said. But first, Indresh, I've had the pleasure of meeting you through some of the planning. I've read some of your recent blog articles, really fresh, well-communicated perspective on the topic. For the audience that may not be so familiar with you yet, can you provide a little bit of background about yourself and more generally the role that you have within Aquant?
Yeah. Errol, thank you so much for for this, and thanks everyone for joining from across the time zones. My name is Indresh. I run the labs team here at Aquant, and the labs team's one of the primary purposes is to look at the market and the technology and the domain, especially given the fact that everybody's running so fast. To be able to continuously stay on top of what's happening outside of the company, and then find opportunities to bring those technologies into our product, and really see through some of those initiatives from ideas to productization. That's what I've been spending a lot of time last year. And one of the big topics that I've spent most of my time is figuring out how to make voice, which is like super cool, super amazing technology, from being super cool to super useful. And today, I'm super excited to share our experiences, where we are headed as a company, but also where the domain is headed in general.
Yeah, that's great. You just reminded me. This was 2-3 years ago, but a leader here in the Austin community, he started off a meeting by saying, "Hey, cool is cool, but it still has to work."
Yeah.
And I think you
Right.
encapsulated that perfectly. Before we jump into it, Aquant has been a great partner in this thought leadership sessions, and many of our loyal fans will be familiar. But for those again who are new to it, can you just share a quick overview of what are the type of challenges, what's the type of problems that Aquant engages in with the service community?
Yeah. That's a great point. So Aquant, was making service technology, AI technology, useful for customers even before AI became a thing in the service domain, even before LLMs became, so popular. We are broadly a service intelligence platform, that helps customers throughout the service lifecycle, whether in call centers, whether it is in field, whether it's for executives to drive insights. And then recently we transformed ourselves from being service centric to more asset centric and more agentic platform, again for service, but now with more modern technology, both for us to build service offerings, but also for customers to think about service delivery as a combination of this powerful agentic platform, and then and then marrying that with their real business use cases. So we have been in the domain for the last 10 years. Started out with
Mm,
troubleshooting use cases, but eventually, we now have about a dozen different agents doing troubleshooting, helping customers with parts, helping customers with managing use cases that are not just service, but still these are complex asset manufacturers. They have
mhm.
use cases that span across product engineering, customer engagement. That's where we are today. We are this modern agentic platform for service that is helping complex asset manufacturers drive their service operations.
Perfect. Thank you for that context. I think it's very useful as we navigate your perception on voice AI, and especially the lessons that you've learned along the way, along the journey that you just described. Quick reminder to our audience: today's podcast is being recorded, and we'd like you to be a participating audience. So if you have any comments, reactions, any follow ups that you want to have as we move through the conversation, especially to our LinkedIn audience, feel free to comment, and we'll do our best to respond either during the conversation itself, or we'll follow up in the comment section after the event. Without further ado, let me jump right in and picking up on something that you said, that you've been at this for a while, right? And voice AI, in some ways, it feels like the new kid in the block within the whole AI conversation. And because in our day to day, we tend to interact, engage with others via voice naturally. But from a work perspective, because of the limitations that existed before and a number of reasons, voice AI was not the natural way in which we've learned to deal with the problems and to look for help as we leverage technology. So as that has progressed, as the technology has evolved and gotten better, how has your own perception regarding the why voice AI is a good thing, and how should it be implemented? Can you take us a little bit through that journey for yourself?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think historically, we have always primarily relied on a very traditional way of interacting with software, right? Where you have browser applications, you have desktop applications, you have mobile applications, and innovation around voice has been pretty stagnant for a long time, especially in the last 3 years. However, there has been tremendous amount of investment, excuse me, critical thinking, and actually advancing voice as a feasible way to interact with data and technology. You would now see voice being more natural. It's not as close as how humans would interact with human, but it's a big difference between what was voice 3 years ago versus now. um, and when we looked at voice last year, one of the things that really excited us is you know how we can leverage the existing AI applications, and it is now possible to add a layer of voice on top of it and still make that experience useful for customers. It's not the clunky old press one for this and
Hmm.
for that. It's really like how you and I are talking and taking turns. Voice can understand. Voice can seamlessly respond in a way that humans can respond. It is super high performance. You don't have to put that under rules. So there's a big difference in how voice is today versus voice is 3 years ago. But it is still a new kid in the block, like you said.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that it can do everything. We just have to be, as a SaaS providers, we want to be at the forefront of educating customers on what makes sense today, what makes sense in the future, how customers should think about deploying voice. But yes, it has come a long way, but it is still also has a long way to go. So the question
Hmm.
is, where do we start, right?
Yeah, and so on that question of where do we start, and I'm going to keep you accountable to the, hey, how do we move from cool to useful and actionable? What is it that you're seeing in the market regarding the use cases that are really resonating, where you say the technology is interesting, I think it can help me with this. How is it that that service leaders are thinking about this and you helping them in that that approach?
Yeah, yeah. Um, when we started last year, we felt we could solve everything with voice, right? We were so excited about the possibilities of voice. The promise it has, the vision that it
Mm-hmm.
can help us drive. Over a period of time, we have learned that it has great potential, amazing, possibilities, but also it has its own. It can also become a challenge if you don't deploy it right. So working with customers, um, we have figured out, like, okay, what is an organic journey that we can take our customers through. Do they have to be at the super sophisticated level of
Mm-hmm.
voice AI, or are there use cases we know today that they are solving it traditionally, but they're not able to solve it the way they want to solve? So we think about different use cases, and this is what we're engaging with customers with. Like, there are a few themes that are emerging through the last year, right? We put them into different buckets. There is challenges around efficiency, around the process automation, challenges around scalability, and also some challenges around operations. So we kind of put them into different buckets, and then engage with customers and say, okay, these are the different themes, these are the different use cases. Now let's look at that from your perspective. What is a low hanging, high impact, high value use case that we can start with? So
Mm-hmm.
that, to your point, you mentioned, you're spot on, right? It's just not technology, it's about change management. It's about how customers can become comfortable with interacting with technology in a reasonably new and different ways. So our learning has been, okay, look at, educate customers on these use cases, educate them on complexities of those use cases, and then work with them to identify one use case which is, like I said, high impact, low effort in overall,
Mm-hmm.
and then walk customers through the use case, the change management, validation of the concept, and then put it in production, right? And then go after use case two, use case three, and so forth.
Mhm. So let's address that high impact, and I want to connect that to our research. There's three areas that I'd like to pick your brain on. The first one, we conduct every year our Voice of the Field Service Engineer survey, and over the last 3 years alone, we have over 8,000 responses on that. One of the things that has been constant uh, across these 3 years is that at the top of the list of the activities that technicians do not like in their day to day is data capture.
Yeah.
Um, and if you peel the onion a little bit further, we ask, hey, we get it that this is the biggest problem. Has it gotten better? Only 30% of the technicians agree that data capture has become less time consuming over the last 5 years. Uh, so, can you perhaps speak a little bit to the application, the state of voice AI in this context? Any specific implementation or results that you've been able to achieve here?
Yeah, yeah. It's a great question, and you know, uh, I think it's a twofold problem, right? One is, um, yeah, the data entry is inefficient for more than one reason. One is it's laborious, right? Most often than not, technicians won't have time to capture it as soon as they are done with their work. They'll park it and maybe come back to it later.
Mm-hmm.
And now that leads to more challenges around, do they remember everything and did they capture everything, right? So one leads to the other. So overall, technology is not helping them, right? They don't have enough tools to do it, and then they're also going from job to job, and they're optimizing it around doing the job in more often than not, and less on capturing information. Um, but I think it starts with technology. So if you look at if you were to use, let's say, voice has been there for a while. There's a dictation that you can do on a keyboard of a handheld device, and then speak something, and then it produces text.
Hmm.
So but that is more technical solution. Like, can I convert my voice to text? Is different from saying, can I debrief using voice, for example. And we hear this from customers, not only for capturing work information but also to capture knowledge, right? So the expert technicians, for example, they have so much knowledge that you would want to find a way to capture them. Or a technician who just finished a job, they figured out a more efficient way to do it, and you want to capture that as a knowledge article for somebody in the future to refer to it. So you think of different use cases to capture information, and then you now see, okay, what are the gaps in the tools that can help us bridge the gap. Fundamentally, voice is going to change it, right? Because voice AI understands what you're saying and not what you mean, not
Hmm.
just what you're saying. There's a big difference between the two. So today, for example, with Aquant, a technician who finished their job, they can pick up the phone, they can tell Aquant mobile app saying, "Hey, I finished this job. I replaced these two parts. I recycled the filters, the pump." So they can describe everything and then say, "Go, complete the work order for me." And Aquant in the back end takes that information, translates that into more structured information, and puts it in the right places in the database, right? So what used to take 15-20 minutes for them is now, in many cases, less than a minute. So just to wrap it up, I think what uh, because now voice has become more natural in
Hmm.
understanding what someone is saying. It's able to take that and interpret the intent of it, and then translate that into what you would otherwise have to do it manually and laboriously. Does that make
And
sense?
it does, and I want to emphasize one of the things that you said, because I think it has very deep implications, which is what this technology and that the approach that you just walked through has on the customer engagement and closing the loop
Yeah,
on it. One of the complaints that I hear about, not just through the survey, but also when anecdotally, when speaking with our community, is the complaint that you're asking me to fill in all these forms and spend all this time, and then I don't see you doing anything with it.
yeah,
I tend to speak about it as the innovation funnel, where what's
yeah,
being asked versus the perception of, is that being addressed, is that being implemented, do I have enough time for it? It drops significantly. So now you're making it easier for them to capture the data,
yeah,
but it's also making it easier to do something with the data,
yeah,
and for that something to be visible to the frontline themselves as well. And I think it helps with one of the biggest myths, which was true for a while, that all these forms and CRMs was where data was sent to die,
yeah.
and now you can actually do something with it. So I just thought that was a critical point, and I wanted to double down
Yeah,
on what you
yeah.
said.
I'll add one more thing to that, Gerardo. Meaning, because you will now make it easy for people to enter data, they are going
Hmm.
to, they will be motivated to do more often. And the beauty of that is now you have a significantly super high quality data than which we had access to previously. Like, imagine
Hmm.
if every time technicians complete their job, they're able to say something for 30 seconds, and then AI takes it and then translates that into more structured, useful information, complete information. And now we take the same information and then train the models downstream, right? So higher quality data upstream means higher quality uh,
Hmm.
AI downstream also, right? So it has like ripple effect in the chain.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Great point. Um, Adding to that, not just from the perspective of the frontline, but what service leaders are measuring. We just released our KPIs and metrics survey a couple of weeks ago. And within employee metrics, workforce productivity and workforce utilization were both amongst the top three employee metrics that service leaders said that they're going to be focusing on during 2026. One of the things that gets in the way of that productivity is commute time, for
Yeah,
example, like
yeah,
all the time that the technicians spend not in front of the asset, not in front of the customer. And voice AI brings a possibility to increase the value, or to generate value while this is going on now. Like all good questions, it's not straightforward, right? It has
yeah,
implications on safety. Is the technician gonna feel like now I'm being asked to do even more? Um, but on the other side, we also hear, hey, there's less chance of overtime and more satisfaction at the job. So
yeah.
what has been the reaction that you've seen from leaders and from the frontline itself around the application of voice AI during their downtime?
Yeah, yeah. I think as we started to introduce voice to some of our early customers, this exact theme started coming up, right? Meaning how to utilize technicians, you know, uh,
Hmm.
downtime, but they're still driving to the job site, for example. And the use cases varied from, I just want to know, you know um, the history of the assets I'm going to work on today, or I want to know what has been done, what do different technicians have done, or think about the issue that I'm going to now pick up and continue. Or it could also be, hey, I know I'm going to these two job sites, and I know what are the high level, I understand whether it is a maintenance, or I'm doing a break fix. Let me prepare for different scenarios, uh,
Hmm.
right? And the third use case is about, you know um, you flip the equation between the AI and the user. In most of the scenarios, I'm the technician. I'm going to drive the conversation with the AI. I'm going to ask you a few things, right? It is basically driven by me. Some of the customers, when we spoke with, they said, okay, why don't we flip that equation? Why don't AI ask me the question? Like, it's almost like a training scenario, right?
Hmm.
So you can do, like, you think of, you know um, tactically, CRM data, access to CRM data to understand the our service data, to understand the job I'm going to deal with throughout the day, preparing for procedures and troubleshooting, but also just learning, right? All these things can be done while a technician
Hmm.
is driving, right? They don't need to be. They need to type. They need to look at their iPads and iPhones. Um, so these are the themes that we hear frequently,
Hmm.
uh, and we happen to work with some of the customers that agreed to be design partners with us, and to figure out, like you said, how to make it useful, but also how to make it safe, how to make it worth their time while they're driving. um, and I think this is only going to get, there'll be more and more requests around these type of use
Hmm.
cases. We put them in the efficiency bucket, right? How to utilize technicians' time, and their skills more efficiently. So this is the time bucket.
Yeah, and a quick comment on that. We still see that there's a gap between safety and productivity in terms of how technicians feel that technology, not just AI, technology is helping them be more productive versus safer. So I said about 20% points gap. What is interesting to me is that if we actually think about how this works, we're helping the technicians not have to scroll through a screen or being
Yeah,
typing while
Hmm.
while driving. It reduces the stress that you have to prepare ahead of the arrival. So um, spending less time on site because you got some of the information ahead of it, and therefore you're not driving with such a hurry to the next to your next appointment. So it has to be deployed responsibly, absolutely. Um, but there's a lot of benefits that I could envision of relative to the way that they might be leveraging technology today, how voice AI could actually
Yeah.
for um, create a safer environment for them.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's also like, one thing is, like you said, they have to scroll through, and there's a lot of responsibility on them to get it done right, whether it
mhm,
is, access to information, troubleshoot, whatever that is. Voice flips the equation. It basically it puts in front of you an interface where you can keep asking, and it'll go figure out where to find
mhm,
information, how to present it to you, how to organize it for you, how to repeat it for you. We have use cases where, uh, as simple as sometimes when voice reads out a long digit, it just says 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and someone
mhm.
can say, "Can you slow down so that you know I can understand, or can you repeat?" Right? These things are so natural in voice interface, and it just de-stresses the whole experience compared to having to read through and spending in front of a monitor or screen. I
Mhm.
think it just adds more natural way of how people try to access and store information within themselves.
Yeah. No, no. Thank you. And building on it, and this is not this can be anywhere in the process really when the technician is actually working on the asset, but this interaction of seeing AI as the expert is a very interesting application to me. We've seen through our research a rise in the technician's willingness to self troubleshoot, go to the knowledge base, and try to find the answers when they get stuck on the job. But the number one action that they go to is still calling another
Yeah.
technician. 54%
Yeah.
in last year's survey say that this is their primary action. So voice calling somebody is the primary mode to get this solved. That speaks to the efficiency and the effectiveness of it. Um, Doing it with an AI agent might feel different.
Yeah.
So first off, what have you seen? What have been the results of the frontline being willing to engage an AI expert as their um, as they would a colleague?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the learnings for us deploying AI as an expert is,
Hmm.
more than anything else, is just the change management. It's great that AI can ingest all of the information, and it's able to interact with the caller, but I think it's a new way to interact with technology, and then we realize that we need to guide our businesses through the change management. How do we deploy this? How do we
Hmm.
go from, hey, this is not working, to this is useful, now this is usable? So how do we take them through the journey? I think for us, I would say majority of our efforts goes in that. Just, that's why identifying the use case uh,
Hmm.
is important, and then working with customers to kind of create, like, almost like a plan which is grounded in change management for them, right?
And,
Is
and just specifically because as you said, you've gone through this journey. There's a difference between engaging an AI expert in general,
Mhm.
but are we engaging via text, like a chat function, versus voice, which is what we're talking about today? Have you seen the introduction of voice really moving the needle in that change management?
It's certainly has the promise of that, right? That's
Mm,
what we have seen. But every customer is different. And that's why we said, okay, if you think about AI expert and then slot the expert into different tiers, right? Okay, this is a tier one expert, this is a tier two, and tier four. As you go from tier one to tier N, the expected expertise becomes higher and higher. The right,
Mm-hmm.
and we said, okay, if your technicians today call another expert for 10 things, out of 10 things, 3 things, you really don't have to use the real expert's time on those 3 things. Okay, here, let's put AI in front of them, and then we go from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 4. I think jumping into tier 2, tier 10 is not the right, basically thinking that, okay, let's put this expert in front of all our technicians, and after this point,
Mm-hmm.
everybody is supposed to go to AI first for all kinds of collaboration or guidance. I think that's a no-no, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
I think the community is not there yet, because they all have to feel confident about, okay, AI is actually helping me. I mean, if you think about the bias today, like, we have a third technician, and let's say you have 20 years and I have 2 years, the technician will invariably go to you all the time, you know, because there is a bias that this technician knows that this Gerardo has 20 years of experience. So most likely he's going to give me better answer than in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the same thing with AI. So we need to graduate everybody to kind of first, you know, understand how to interact with it, and then just generally gain confidence in AI's ability to respond to them in a way, it makes sense. So our approach has been, don't go to the end state and deploy it.
Mm-hmm.
Start with something basic and then go from there.
Good, good. So I'll share with you a quick data point to give you confidence that you're on the right path. I know you're very passionate about this. I said 54% of the technicians are calling
Mhm.
one of their colleagues when they get stuck. Only 24% of them are texting a colleague. So this is with non-AI technologies, but we see that voice is more than twice
Yeah.
as as it's being used more than twice as much as texting. So it feels like the most natural way of
Correct.
engaging. And if instead of asking technicians, now you have to trust an AI and you have to switch
Yeah.
uh,
Correct.
your preferred mode. If if it's meeting them halfway, now the part that we talked about at the top, which is, do I trust the data? Is the data that I've been capturing all this time in the past, is that being incorporated into the this AI tool? That's where the story starts to come together. So the
It-
just like with safety, it needs to be responsible, but there's a lot of potential to meet nations where they are by leveraging AI, I believe.
it's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So you start with a technology that can capture high quality data, and then you feed that
Hmm.
back into the same technology to kind of push the quality even higher. So it's kind of, you have the right tech and the right data, and one needs the other. They
Hmm.
can't survive independently. So for us, it's about, okay, that's why, reduce the friction early on, figure out what is the shortest path where something like voice can be, first of all, the users feel usable, it's useful, and it addresses one of those buckets, efficiency and some of the things that we talked about. As long as it fits that, I think there is a general willingness across the board to try it and deploy it in some capacity. That's what we have seen, right? We've not seen a customer so far who comes to us and say, oh, this doesn't work. It's for them about, okay, help us understand, like, this is where we are, where should we start, and how do we deploy, how do we do change management, how do we measure it? It's more has been how rather than why,
Hmm.
I would say.
So on that, two quick questions to wrap us up. First off, are there any common pitfalls to avoid, or key success drivers, as you've spoken about change management a couple of times? So whether it's finding the right use case, defining where value is gonna come from, do you have any advice for our community? And that's along those lines.
Yeah, yeah. It's not plenty. It's actually two or three. One is, voice sounds super exciting. It's like, suddenly, like, I became a kid in the candy store. Like, I wanted everything of voice and give it to customers. Um, so I think where where we are focusing and where we always have advocated our customers and prospects kind of focus on is, what is that we are trying to solve with voice, and are we ready together, us, to deploy it to you as a customer, and are you customer, are you ready to kind of deploy voice, right? And
Mhm.
that basically goes back to identifying all different use cases, but pick, I would say, at the beginning, just one use case that we feel most confident that we can deploy. We can do change management, and we can measure. I think all the three, if we can find a small enough but a good enough use case to kind of do all these three, I think we have a plan, we have a game, right? After that, it's just repeating that template across multiple use cases. And over the last year, we have at Aquant, we have identified about, I think, a dozen different use cases that we talk about. We talk about how to help. For example, after hours is a big challenge for many of the customers. Like, 9 to 5, there's
Mhm.
somebody to help. After that, what happens, right? Right? The technology there is not really competing with anything. It's complementing where there is nothing today, for example. So some customers talk about, process automation. Some of them talk about after hours. Yeah, so pick one use case, figure out how to do change management, verification and measurement, and then from there on, we can together we'll figure out how to repeat that across all different use cases.
Yeah. No, thank you. And one of the things that you said especially resonated, the avoiding being spread too thin, right? It used to be that, like, do not put all of your eggs in one basket and try to spread the risk. I've been hearing what you said quite often of, let's focus on the right starting point, and then build from there. Final thing, I know this is a big passion of yours, but so what is your bet on the adoption, the value of voice AI? How maybe is there a way in which others can better understand also what voice AI means for them?
Yeah, like I have a philosophical explanation to that, but I'll also give you a practical explanation of that. I
Sure.
think if you look at it, the history of humanity, all technology has advanced human society right forward. Like we have tried to do things better. If I think about voice, it's for me, like, the moment I realized this, it was like, my aha moment that voice AI is the only thing which is taking us backwards to our roots of how we have always interacted with everybody, right? Like, only
Hmm.
with technology we chose a different approach. We started typing, we started, doing all of that stuff. But the best way we all know to interact with each other is voice, right? And without voice, we have all become, I would say, largely inefficient in how we interact with the world. So voice AI is actually taking us back to the roots. It's making us interact with the world the way we always knew the most efficient way to interact. So I think I'm super super excited about what it is doing, as it's kind of taking us full circle back. I think from a purely from a technology and looking forward standpoint, I think I see a lot of potential in voice solving problems in modern ways. Like, we always, if you keep innovating on candles, you get a better candle. You never get a good light bulb, right? So we need to change the approach to get a light bulb, which is the next evolution of candles. Voice AI is that, right? We have been trying to solve some of the efficiency, process, and scale and operations challenges with largely traditional approaches, which didn't fit very well. And so, what I'm more excited is, okay, is there a way for us to help, call centers operate better?
Hmm.
Is there a way we can onboard technicians faster than we have done always through LMSs and things like that? Is there a way we can get access is there a way we can push this idea of left shift of customers resolving, if not everything, but more issues themselves than they're doing today using voice. So there's tremendous opportunity to look at existing problems through the lens of voice, and I believe because of the nature of the technology itself, many problems, if not completely resolved, you go from, you almost go from spending 40 minutes to spending 5 minutes type of efficiency. So it does, I think it does change how businesses look at most of the problems today, right?
Great.
It makes sense.
It does, and I didn't want to wrap up before thanking you, not only for the clarity that you've provided on this and your perspective, which I appreciate how grounded it is, but also for making available the resource to our community on how to test drive what voice AI actually means. I saw it in the description of the podcast. I believe I saw it in the comments as well. So I appreciate letting our community play with this and see what those interactions could look like. But Indresh, again, thank you for being here, for helping me and the community really see where this could take us, separate from the noise. Thank you to our listening community for sticking around. I know we went a little bit long, but I have a policy of not cutting off an expert when they're on fire. So it's been a fun conversation. It was recorded, so you can go back and share it with your colleagues, revisit some of the context, and see you soon in our next edition. Hope you have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, everyone.